You have known your blood type your entire adult life. It is printed on your medical card, written in your file, typed into every hospital form you have ever filled out. Type A, Type B, Type O, Type AB. You learned it once, filed it away, and never thought about it again. Because nobody ever told you it was worth thinking about. Nobody ever suggested that those two letters, sitting quietly in your medical record, contain information about your cardiovascular system, your cognitive aging, your cancer risk, and your likelihood of developing the specific conditions that will determine the quality of the final decades of your life. Here's what the medical system has known for over 30 years and has never organized into a conversation worth having with you directly. Your blood type is not just a compatibility marker for transfusions. It is a biological signature that influences how your immune system ages, how your arteries respond to inflammation, how your brain handles the protein buildup associated with cognitive decline, and how your body processes the specific nutrients that either protect or accelerate cellular aging. A landmark analysis published in the journal Circulation, involving over 400,000 participants, found that people with type A or type B blood had a significantly higher lifetime risk of coronary heart disease compared to type O, and that the mechanism behind that difference is something your cardiologist almost certainly never mentioned at your last appointment. What I am going to walk you through today is what each of the 4 major blood types actually predicts about your longevity risks, what the research says about the specific diseases each type is most vulnerable to, and most importantly, the precise dietary, supplementation, and lifestyle adjustments that clinical science has identified as most protective for your specific blood type after 60. Stay with me until the very end, because the final blood type I discuss is the one with the most surprising longevity profile, and the one whose owners are most frequently given completely wrong dietary advice by their own physicians. If you have ever wondered whether your health history has a pattern that nobody has connected for you, type your blood type in the comments right now. A, B, AB, or O. Because what you are about to hear may finally make that pattern make sense. My name is Dr. Elena Cruz. I have spent 26 years working specifically with adults over 60 on the intersection of genetic markers, cardiovascular aging, and longevity medicine. And I want to be honest with you about something that has troubled me throughout my entire career. Blood type research has existed in peer-reviewed literature for decades. The connection between ABO blood group and disease risk is not new, not fringe, and not contested among researchers who study it seriously. What is remarkable, and what I cannot fully justify, is how completely absent this information is from routine clinical conversations between physicians and their patients over 60. I am making this video because I am tired of watching people manage their health in the dark when the light has been available for 30 years and nobody thought to turn it on for them. Let me start with biology, because understanding why blood type affects longevity requires understanding what blood type actually is at the cellular level. And it is significantly more than most people realize. Your ABO blood type is determined by specific antigens, protein and sugar molecules that coat the surface of your red blood cells. But those same antigens are also present on the cells lining your blood vessels, your digestive tract, your lungs, and your brain tissue. They are not confined to your blood. They are part of the fundamental architecture of how your immune system recognizes your own cells versus foreign material. And because they are present throughout your body, they influence how your immune system responds to inflammation, how your clotting system activates under stress, how your gut microbiome is structured, and how efficiently your body clears the cellular debris that accumulates with aging. According to research published in the journal Arteriosclerosis, Thrombosis, and Vascular Biology, Individuals with type O blood have significantly lower levels of von Willebrand factor, a clotting protein associated with cardiovascular disease risk, compared to individuals with type A, type B, or type AB blood. That difference in clotting factor levels translates into a measurably lower lifetime risk of heart attack and deep vein thrombosis for type O individuals. Not a minor statistical difference, a difference that researchers described as clinically significant and that has been replicated across multiple large population studies spanning 3 continents. And yet, the average type A senior sitting in a cardiology waiting room has never been told that their blood type places them in a higher cardiovascular risk category that warrants a specifically adjusted monitoring and prevention protocol. That information gap is where this video begins. Let me start with type O, the most common blood type among Canadians and Americans over 60, and the one with the most misunderstood longevity profile. Most people with type O blood have been told at some point that they are the universal donor, that their blood can be given to anyone in an emergency. That is true, but what nobody follows up with is what type O means for the person carrying it across a lifetime of aging. And the picture is more nuanced than the cardiovascular advantage I just described would suggest. A 2019 study published in the journal PLOS One, involving over 400,000 participants from the UK Biobank, found that type O individuals had significantly lower risk of cardiovascular disease and venous thromboembolism compared to all other blood types. That cardiovascular protection is real, and it is meaningful. But the same study and subsequent research published in the journal Gut in 2021 found that type O individuals have a measurably higher susceptibility to certain gastrointestinal infections, particularly H. pylori, the bacterial infection most strongly associated with stomach ulcers and stomach cancer, compared to type A individuals. The mechanism involves the specific antigens on gut lining cells that H. pylori uses to attach and colonize. Type O antigens provide a more accessible attachment point for this particular pathogen. I want to tell you about a man named Bernard, 69 years old, retired civil engineer, living in Portland, Oregon. Bernard had been proud of his type O blood his entire adult life. He donated regularly. He had read somewhere that type O was the healthiest blood type, and he genuinely believed that his cardiovascular health was his strongest asset going into his 70s. His annual checkups confirmed it. His heart was in excellent condition. But for 4 years, Bernard had been managing what his gastroenterologist called a persistent low-grade stomach irritation, occasional nausea, intermittent upper abdominal discomfort, a feeling after meals that something was not quite right. He had been given antacids. He had been told to reduce coffee. Nobody tested him for H. pylori for 3 years because his symptoms were mild and his doctor did not connect his blood type to his gastrointestinal vulnerability. When Bernard was finally tested, the H. pylori infection was confirmed and successfully treated within 8 weeks. The 4 years of discomfort resolved almost completely within 1 month of completing treatment. What I am about to tell you about type A is significantly more urgent than anything I just shared about type O. Type A blood is the second most common blood type in North America, and it is the one that carries the most significant and most consistently documented longevity risks across the widest range of serious conditions. I want to be very clear here. Having type A blood does not mean your fate is sealed. It means your body has specific vulnerabilities that require specific awareness and specific preventive action. The difference between a type A senior who knows this information and one who does not is not a matter of destiny. It is a matter of decades of quality life. A landmark study published in the journal Circulation in 2017 one of the largest cardiovascular genetic studies ever conducted, involving over 400,000 participants, found that type A individuals had a 9% higher lifetime risk of coronary artery disease compared to type O individuals after controlling for all other cardiovascular risk factors. 9% sounds modest until you understand that this risk operates silently across every decade of your adult life, compounding quietly in the background of otherwise normal annual checkups. The mechanism is that elevated von Willebrand factor I mentioned earlier, the clotting protein that type A blood produces in significantly higher quantities than type O, which increases the tendency of blood to form dangerous clots in narrowed coronary arteries. But the cardiovascular risk is not the finding that troubles me most about type A. A 2021 study published in the journal Alzheimer's and Dementia, one of the most respected peer-reviewed publications in cognitive aging research, found that type A individuals had a measurably higher risk of developing vascular dementia compared to other blood types. The researchers identified the same clotting mechanism as the likely driver: microclots forming in small cerebral blood vessels over years and decades, gradually reducing blood flow to specific brain regions in ways that produce the memory, processing speed, and executive function changes that are frequently dismissed as normal aging until they are not. I want to tell you about a woman named Patricia, 67 years old, retired university professor, living in Edinburgh, Scotland. Patricia was type A and had spent her career studying literature. Her mind was her identity, her livelihood, and her greatest source of personal pride. At 63, she began noticing that she was losing words mid-sentence. Not dramatically, just occasionally. The kind of thing you explain away as tiredness or distraction. Her physician told her it was normal aging. Her annual cognitive screening came back within normal limits every year for 4 years, while the changes she noticed in herself continued to quietly accumulate. When Patricia came to a longevity specialist who specifically assessed her cardiovascular and cerebrovascular risk profile in the context of her type A blood group, the picture that emerged was one of chronically elevated clotting factors and measurably reduced cerebral blood flow in regions associated with language processing. She was not developing Alzheimer's disease, she was developing vascular cognitive impairment, a condition directly addressable through specific interventions that her previous physicians had never considered because nobody had connected her blood type to her symptom pattern. Before I tell you exactly what those interventions are, I want to pause for just one moment. If someone you love is type A and has been dismissing word-finding difficulties, memory lapses, or mental fatigue as just getting older, please share this video with them right now. Not for this channel, because what Patricia learned next gave her back something she had quietly started grieving. Here is the practical protocol for each blood type, and I want you to treat this as the personalized consultation it is, because this is the information that should have been part of every annual physical you have had since turning 60, but almost certainly never was. If you are type O, the most important protective step you can take starting this week is requesting an H. pylori breath test or stool antigen test at your next medical appointment. This test is non-invasive, inexpensive, and definitively identifies an infection that your blood type makes you significantly more susceptible to, and that if left untreated, silently increases your risk of gastric cancer across years and decades. You say these exact words to your doctor. Given my type O blood group and its known association with H. pylori susceptibility, I would like to be screened for active infection. That sentence takes 15 seconds and could change the trajectory of your gastrointestinal health permanently. If you are type A, the most important protective steps involve directly addressing the elevated clotting factor risk that your blood type carries. A 2020 study published in the journal Nutrients found that daily supplementation with omega-3 fatty acids at a dose of 2 to 3 grams of combined EPA and DHA produced measurable reductions in von Willebrand factor levels in adults with elevated cardiovascular clotting risk. You take this every morning with breakfast, not a low-dose fish oil capsule from the pharmacy shelf, but a pharmaceutical-grade omega-3 supplement with confirmed EPA and DHA content clearly labeled. You pair it with nattokinase, a natural enzyme derived from fermented soybeans that has been shown in research published in the journal Scientific Reports to support healthy fibrinolysis, the process by which your body naturally breaks down microclots before they accumulate in coronary and cerebral vessels. The dose that produced measurable results in clinical research was 2,000 fibrinolytic units daily, taken on an empty stomach away from any blood-thinning medications. Patricia began this protocol under the supervision of her longevity physician 8 months before she came back to tell me that her word finding had improved enough that she had returned to writing, something she had quietly stopped doing 18 months earlier, because the frustration of losing words mid-sentence had made the process feel unbearable. She had not told her family she had stopped. She had not told her physician. She had simply put the manuscript away and told herself she was tired. Bernard's stomach discomfort resolved completely within 6 weeks of completing his H. pylori treatment. He told me afterward that 4 years of daily low-grade discomfort had become so normalized that he had stopped noticing it consciously, and that its absence felt like getting a piece of his daily comfort back that he had not realized he was missing. Your blood type has been sitting in your medical file your entire adult life, carrying information that your healthcare system never translated into personalized preventive action for you. That is not your failure. That is a gap in how medicine has been practiced. And that gap closes today. Like this video, subscribe, and share it with one person in your life who knows their blood type but has never been told what it means for their health after 60. And tell me in the comments, what is your blood type? And what is the one health challenge you have been managing that you now wonder might be connected to it? I read every single answer, and I want to understand what patterns this community is living with.